Amber is behind the camera this week, so if you wanted to introduce yourself, Yvonne, just a quick little intro to all of our viewers at home.
Thanks, Amber. I'll try to look at the camera instead of at your
You
face,
can look
but
at
it's
me,
really
too.
nice to sit with you. My name is Yvonne Dawydiak, and my role here in the Faculty of Education is as an instructional specialist. So I work with our faculty and our teacher candidates to support them in integrating digital technologies in their practice. So the Scarfe Digital Sandbox started out as a little blog that I built off the side of my desk. I was a faculty advisor in the BEd program. I was a classroom teacher for 25 years, so I just want to start with that just to make sure folks know I have a little legitimacy in the work that I do, helping to prepare our teacher candidates for their future as pre-service and in-service teachers. And I started it off as a little bit of a blog over a couple of years and started to build a bank of resources. Basically, the resources include tutorials and just sort of quick, what is this particular technology? How might it be relevant to teaching and learning? And how can I get started? Trying to get over some of the barriers and the hurdles for teacher candidates in hunting down the millions of resources, curating to an extent the content so that it's not quite as overwhelming. And pretty much what's on the Scarfe Digital Sandbox are resources that I've used. I'm not necessarily promoting those resources. I get no kickbacks for the work that I do, but I say we because I have some students working with me as well. We are finding resources that are being used in classrooms today that I have then used or my students have used for teaching and learning, and then presenting them and trying to break down a little bit what we see as the benefits of those particular technologies. So over time, it's built into a fairly robust resource bank that can be searched and sorted and filtered. And in addition to that side of the resource, there's also a blog, and I keep fairly regular postings over the course of the year, mostly related to work that I'm doing with faculty. And often the postings end up taking the form of a digital handout for face-to-face classroom sessions where I'll wrap up a big idea and all of the resources used to support developing that big idea. We have in the Scarfe Digital Sandbox, we have an Ask a Question button. And what I find with teacher candidates, especially in NITEP when you're in your fourth year and the program does become more condensed, a little bit less time in the program for anything outside of just getting everything done and being prepared for practicum. I find that by having the Ask a Question button, it allows students to just go in, ask a question of myself. Typically one of my students handles the initial question and triages a lot of them to me when it comes to the pedagogies involved. But having that safe place to just ask what you might think is a dumb question, even though we know there are no dumb questions. I want to make that really clear, but I know we often feel it's a big risk to ask questions of people who are our supervisors, people who have some authority over us. I'm in a really privileged position in the faculty in that I'm a true mentor and coach for both faculty and teacher candidates. I have no authority or assessment practices over anyone. So you can ask me anything. And so that is one way I think to engage. The other way to engage is by thinking about the kinds of uses that you might have in a classroom. Let's say you want to have your students create a presentation, or you in your own coursework want to create a presentation, and the only tool you know about is iMovie, and you've already used it 7 times, and you want to try to use something different. So you could go to the Scarfe Digital Sandbox, go into the resources section, search by presentation tools, and it will bring up a set of curated presentation tools. Some of them will have video tutorials on how to get started. Most of them do. Some that we've created ourselves, others that we've searched and found good resources out there in the world. I've built the Scarfe Digital Sandbox as an open educational resource. The intent is for that resource to live on, hopefully beyond me, hopefully beyond our current teacher candidates, and it is something that is freely accessible with no login required, no CWL, nothing like that. One of the things I'd say for the NITEP students, particularly those that aren't necessarily here on campus, if you are having questions around your digital presence, I know Amber has developed some excellent resources for you. As a classroom teacher for 25 years and somebody who's specialized in the areas of technology integration, but I was a generalist practitioner K-8. I'm happy to answer questions around how do I go about addressing the BC digital literacy framework in my class? And many of the resources in the Scarfe Sandbox have actually been specifically chosen because in using those with your students, you're helping to address some of the questions in our current curriculum.